Welcome to the Idaho Business Podcast, the only Idaho podcast focused on providing profits for Idaho people. If you love our state and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Idaho Business Podcast with your friend, host, and all-around great guy and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Idaho Business Podcast. We are just excited to have Morgan Mckell here from Strategy Zoo. This guy is a marketing master. We've had him on before. I think it's in 2021, I believe.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah,
it was.
It was back in the day. You were back in the day when you were co-founder of Monarch marketing group over there as well. So we're excited to have you back on. This guy has had just copious amounts of experience in marketing. He's helped people build, businesses to the point that they can have some residual income and not be stressing so much. And he's just a creative guy that's always bringing solutions to people's businesses when it comes to marketing. So welcome again to the show, Morgan. We appreciate you being on the show with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be back on. It's been so long, and I'm excited for it. It's been a fun ride,
For sure. So let's just get into it real quick. Tell us something that no one, very little people know about you.
That very little. I don't know, man. I'm an open book.
Pretty open book.
I'm on social media. I feel like I've documented so much of my life on social media.
Okay.
Whether it's a good thing or bad thing. Let's see. Something that I don't talk about a lot anymore is I wrestled in high school.
Oh.
All through high school, I was a pretty successful wrestler. And when we first moved to Utah, I got involved in the MMA scene. And so I love grappling, started doing jiu-jitsu, started doing Thai boxing. And that used to be a huge part of my life. I used to think that's what I wanted to do, was be like a coach or open a gym of mine. And so I don't really talk about that anymore. I used to all the time, but maybe that's something that people don't know about me.
Alex Hormozi type of guy for the gym world.
Yeah, just more of but like a fighting gym, had like a ring in there and work with MMA fighters or wrestlers or boxers and stuff like that. But,
sure. Well, that's awesome. I like it.
So that's an interesting fact about Morgan.
Hey, that's great. That's great. I think everyone needs to learn those skills. Those are great. I've actually been going to some boxing with my two younger boys. I think it's been fun.
Really?
Not to fight, but it's just fun to learn and to get in shape and watch my boys do what they're doing. And if they want to fight, great. I'm all for it. So.
See, and I keep telling myself I need to get back into it. I had lost a lot of weight when I was down in Utah, but since I've been in Pocatello, man, my girl treats me right. She's a great cook, and I've kind of fell off the wagon of working out as much as I used to. And but I always say I want to go back. There's a great places here in Pocatello.
Sure.
Jiu-jitsu places. I know there's a boxing place. I don't know much about it, but there's really good spots here, honestly.
Yep, there are.
In my backyard, I should just go,
Yeah, there's several good places around town. So that's awesome, man. Well, cool. So you're in Pocatello, Idaho now. You're a permanent fixture of the community. Originally from Virginia, then you moved all over the place. You went to Utah, and now you're here.
Yes, sir.
Now you've Strategy Zoo, you've been going for, since, a little over what, year and 6 months or so?
I'm going on 2 years at the
2
end
years
of
now?
the year. So at the end of the year will be 2 years. So I've been doing it for about 16, 18 months, somewhere in there.
Perfect. So for all, obviously you've been down this road many times. You've started companies, you've developed companies, you've probably sold some companies even.
Yep.
Tell us about a time that you thought about just quitting. And what happened?
Oh man, all the time. That's the thing. I think that's a very normal feeling that entrepreneurs will have. Like you have the best of times, you have the worst of times, And I've wanted to quit a lot of times. I actually, in my first business, there was times when I actually did kind of like quit for a little bit,
Sure.
but we'll talk about Monarch Social was a full scale agency that we had.
Okay.
And when the dreaded 2020 happened, where all businesses shut down, if you will, we not a lot of people, well, here, I'll tell you this. At the beginning of that, a lot of business owners said, man, I got to pay my people and I got to pay my rent, and I don't have money for a marketing agency, right? So rather than
Hmm.
paying a marketing agency, they were staying in business, which is great. In that, there were some hard times where I was like, what are we going to do? Like, what do we do to
Yep.
survive this? And that got really hard. And I remember I didn't take a paycheck for like 3 months in that. And I want to say in 2020, I didn't take a paycheck. I was trying to keep my guys paid because fulfillment, we had clients, we had to
Yeah.
do fulfillment. And so I didn't take a paycheck. And there was many times where I was like, do I need to pivot? Do we need to stop doing this? What, like, you're looking at bills, you're looking at
Yeah.
cash flow, and you're stressing out, and you're just like, wow, never saw this happening.
Yep.
People not being able to work and businesses going under left and right. But yeah, there was a plenty of dark times in there where
Yep.
staying at your house, you're not getting out, you're not getting social interaction, you're seeing your cash flow just deplete. You don't know how you're going to get clients or customers, and you're just like, well, is this the end? Is this too much? But fortunately, I wrote it out, and we did some really creative things in there, and things worked out really well. And but yeah, that comes to mind. That was a really hard time. And being in a business with a partner too is never easy. It's never an easy thing. There's a saying that they say the only ship that never sailed was a partnership, right? And I felt that. I've been a part of multiple partnerships, and they're hard. They're hard. It's harder than like your wife or your partner. You're with that person all the time, and you're talking about money, and you're talking about you're in the good things and the bad things. And so
Yeah.
every entrepreneur goes through that. I feel of, oh man, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? And really have some heart, soul searching conversations with yourself of like, am I like, am I done? Is this it? I'm like, do I want to keep doing this? Am I even passionate about this anymore? So there's been
Sure.
plenty of times of that, Spencer.
I think that's such a normal, like you just said, it's such a normal, roller coaster ride that any entrepreneur goes through. You
Yes.
know, you
And
see it. Oh, go ahead.
it's only a matter of time, right? Like
Yeah.
if you haven't been through that, it's like you're just wait. You will go. Like there's going to be times of feast and there's going to be times of famine, and
Yep.
that's just a normal part of the journey in a small business,
That's right.
life cycle.
Yep. I've seen those little illustrations on Facebook or Instagram. It's like shows these little ups and downs, like, oh, everything's great. I love this business. And all of a sudden I hate this business. I
Yeah.
I want it to go away. And then it's like, goes back up for a little bit and then it goes back down for a lot longer. And then it goes way up. And that's just how it is, and then you're hopefully trying to get to the point that you're just kind of having some minor ups and downs, as you're running
Yes.
a constant business.
Yeah.
And go
At
ahead.
first, it feels like these big waves, and then as you get better and better, it kind of, those
That's
waves
right.
slow down. And so I feel that. And there's so many great memes on the internet about that, but I feel that, Spencer. I feel that in my soul.
Yep. And I've had a lot of mindset help and stuff from mindset coaches and stuff. And that's honestly, that's probably been the biggest help is because most of it comes to your mindset. You
Yeah.
can have crazy stuff going over and over. But then when you get your mindset right, you're like, oh, you know what? That's actually not that big of a deal. I've experienced this. This actually happens every week or every other week. But now I actually have a system that takes care of that when that pops up.
You
So
become more resilient.
that's right.
And the problems never go away. You just get better at dealing with problems. You
Yep.
just become a better problem solver or a more creative problem solver.
Yep.
And as you go through those things, I tell a lot of my clients that if they're newer in business, I always say, it's part of earning your stripes as an entrepreneur. This is a really normal thing. This is nothing new. You're not the first person to go through this. This is
Mm-mm.
part of the process of becoming like a really good business owner.
That's right. It's so right because it's if you don't want to find yourself living that version of insanity that you're doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. You can't just when that problem creeps up again, freak out. I love the analogy. I had a coach back in the day that gave the analogy like if a pilot's flying and the engine catches on fire, he doesn't just start running up and down the cockpit screaming, "The engine's on fire! The engine's on fire!" Where many leaders in business and owners do that. No,
Yeah.
they have a checklist of what they have to go through. And it's most of them have it in their mind, but some of the newbie pilots, if you're a new entrepreneur, sometimes you have to crack that book up. Okay, and I'm not a pilot, but I love to look at and study about pilot things because I think they're awesome. But I'm
Yes.
sure it's something like it goes like this. You know what? Kill the power to the engine. You know, kill the fuel to the engine. You know, uh, all that kind of stuff. There's a checklist to how to manage that problem. To successfully navigate out of that problem, so you can find yourself alive when you hopefully land. So
Yep.
I think too many people think that it's just like, oh my gosh, this is Armageddon. I'm never going to get out of it. No one has to deal with this kind of stuff. It's only me. It's not.
Yeah.
It's the ways that other people deal with it compared to you.
Yes. Yeah. And I love that analogy. I think that's great. And also, there's going to be times, and I think this is a little cliche, but it's so true. There's going to be times when you do fail, and
For sure.
that's inevitable in what we do and the risks that we take as business owners. And the cliche thing is, I think the people that are really successful have failed more times than the new person has even tried, right?
Yep.
I've told people before that you can put on my resume professional failure, right? Because I
Hmm.
have failed in so many different things and so many ventures. I've been lucky. I've had a couple exits. And I try to minimize those failures now, but that's part of the process when you're starting out, is you're gonna fail. And I think it's a matter of what you do after that failure, recognizing what you learn from that and not just saying, well, that didn't work out. Now I'm just done. Right.
Yep.
But I love that analogy. You get better at analyzing the problem and saying, "Oh, I've been here before," or "This is similar to this. This is what we did. This is what we can do." Getting creative, getting uh, uh, what's the word? Nifty grit.
Yeah.
Rolling up your sleeves and saying, "Let's fix this." And it will
Yeah.
be uncomfortable, but on the other side, it feels really good.
That's
So.
exactly. Well, that leads me to my next question. What's a mistake that cost you a lot but taught you more?
Um, the first thing that comes to mind, a mistake. Okay, I got two really good ones, and they go different ways, different types of mistakes. Okay, I got two ones. The first one is contracts. Not having a person go through a contract, like
It's
a
big.
qualified legal representative person going through a contract. And it was about a $60,000 mistake that we made.
Hmm.
And as a small business, that's a lot of money. Okay. And so that's the first one is really, contracts aren't a bad thing. They're there to protect you and they're there to protect your clients actually. And I had to learn that the hard way, of saying, oh crap, like not just thinking or finding something online and copy and pasting it into our contracts,
Hmm.
thinking it will protect us or it will hold them liable to something. And rather than paying, $500 or $1,000 to an attorney to do our contracts, we did it ourselves, and it bit us in the butt. Second mistake is a different mistake. Second mistake is we had the opportunity of a lifetime, and I pitched it because we had never been in that position before, and we shot ourselves in the foot because I pitched it at a too low of a number, for a big project in marketing. And when I said the number, because I was going through my brain and I was trying to rise to the occasion. And when I said the number, immediately their team were like, "Oh, yeah, you're not qualified. Like this is going to be so much more." And basically told us we didn't know what we were doing and that we were
Yeah.
unqualified because we said the number way too low. They had a number in their head. And looking back on it, they were completely right. Like I was just trying to get a bigger job. I believed in our team that we could have done it, and I was scared to pitch a high number, and we shot ourselves in the foot. And I think that taught me a lot of being competent of what you do, and knowing the market and what's really involved in things, rather than shooting yourself in the foot and saying your number's too low. It
Man,
disqualified us immediately in their head.
it's so funny that you've said those things, not in a haha funny, but it's like on me, I'm like, I have literally those two mistakes. I have lived those two mistakes in and out on within my businesses. I've had the contract thing. I didn't pay enough attention to the contract, and it cost me my company $40,000. It
Yeah.
cost you 60. People think, and especially nowadays, back then, Chat GPT was not a thing. Now Chat
Nope.
GPT things, wow, cheap. Chat GPT is a thing, and everyone thinks that they're automatic lawyers and whatever they need to be. It's because of chat. That is incorrect. Very, very, very much so. You still want a lawyer, especially looking at major contracts and money stuff. You want to have that stuff reviewed.
Yes.
And man, when it comes to your last one, talking about
Pricing and shooting
pricing,
yourself in the foot.
knowing your value.
Yeah.
I see so many, especially in my industry, the janitorial industry. It's easy to get into this industry. You can have a mop and a bucket and get into it, and then they don't know. It starts with them not knowing their numbers, and then it obviously doesn't know they don't understand their value.
Yeah.
By the time and this goes, nationwide through any company, they don't look at their numbers, they don't see the value in themselves, and if they actually had their own numbers dissected against them, they would realize, wow, I'm literally making $12 an hour as the owner of this company.
Yeah.
Like this really
Or less.
or less. Yeah, so it's just like really, I guess and at that point, those type of owners get really frustrated, and they're like, you know what, I should just go work at Taco Bell and make more than this, and they would
Mhm.
because they don't understand their value, they don't understand their numbers. So
Yeah.
that's a big one. But yeah, I'm sure you understood your numbers and stuff, but it's tough because it's the other side of it. It was like, oh,
I
that's a
think
big number.
I think
And
we I think the big differentiator was bigger clients, like big clients, like it's like a car analogy in my head. Like a Geo Metro and a
yep.
Ferrari will get you to the same place,
Hmm.
and you can go buy a Ferrari and you can go buy a Geo Metro. But as soon as I said what it would cost us, they realized we weren't a big player. And that was eye-opening for me. And man, I still think about that. But it's a great learning experience to be
Yep.
like, oh, when you work with big players, if you come in too low, you're not qualified. It's like you go to a lawyer. If you're going to get a lawyer and they're like, oh, I'm only $100, but you go to a lawyer and they're like, no, I'm 5 grand.
Yeah.
It's like, why is that so different for the same thing? There's a
Yeah.
reason,
And if
right? And
you're
one's
getting a divorce,
experience, and you're going to feel a lot safer with the 5 grand or 2 grand than the $100 lawyer down the street,
that's right.
right? And,
That's so
and
right.
so I've reflected on that so much, and it's a matter of finding the sweet spot, really knowing your value, and saying, wow, like we are a bigger player. I think small businesses get stuck in that trap of when you first start, you do things at a really low rate just to get leads, or I'm sorry, just to get
Yep.
clients that, get work, to get cash flow. But as you grow, you're supposed to raise your prices. It
Yep.
shows how valuable you are. You hear this all the time from business coaches of like, up your prices, up your prices. There's a reason. Big players play with big people. Big players don't play with the solopreneur that charges, pennies on the dollar. They
Yeah.
don't. They don't. It's a mindset thing. And so I've thought about that so much as like a mistake of mine that costed me a really awesome project that could have changed our company for sure. Um, but yeah, interesting stuff.
Oh, man, this turned out so far to be just a awesome conversation because these are the things that I've been thinking about lately. I've had friends that are new in business and other things, and I'm just like, I want to talk to them, but I don't want to say I'm preachy. But at the same time, too, you're just like, you see it all over the place. You're just saying, just understand your value, you know,
Yeah. Well, I
you
mean, people
know,
say like I get the question a lot of like, how do you scale? And there's so many different ways to scale your company, right?
yep,
Raising your prices is a huge one.
yep,
If you're finding that you can get people really easy, you have a backlog, people are blowing you up, that's great. Raise your prices. That means you're in demand. It means
Hmm.
that, people want to work with you.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, if you raise your prices and you get less people coming in, you're going to be paid the same with less work, which is amazing anyways. It's like, cool,
Yeah,
I'm getting paid the same, less clients.
that's right.
It's a win-win situation. And so I think business owners hold on too long when they first start of raising their prices. They're worried they're not going to, you know, have leads. They're not going to have clients, but
Yep,
it's a pressure reliever when you
that's
do,
right.
and it works.
Yep. And I think also, obviously in this, we always talk about this kind of stuff in the podcast too, is just being an honorable entrepreneur, just
Yes.
being someone that, if they say, hey, you know what, I'm definitely going to use Morgan, because I know he's an honest dude. He's not going to lead me astray, and he's going to do what he said he's going to do,
Yes.
so that means so much. If they always feel like, hey, he's gonna raise his prices, but yeah, I know I'm gonna get just the very thread of what is offered, and the rest is going to go to is whatever their lifestyle is. If they feel like that, you've messed up. You need to
Yeah.
offer as much value as you possibly can to that your
Yeah.
clients. So
And well, the bigger people keep you more accountable too.
that's right.
Bigger players want to see the ROI. They expect more as well. So it forces you to level up and to provide that quality that they're looking for. And so once again, win-win situation because you raise your prices. Well, guess what? Bigger clients are going to hold you to a new standard than your small clients did. And I've seen that in my career. Uh, It goes both ways. Smaller clients are like, this is my last $500. Please, love of God, like
Yeah.
make it work. And they can be very stressful. And a $5,000 client can be like, where do I send the money? Like they don't care,
Yep. Yep.
but
Exactly.
their deliverables, they will be like, they'll say yes if you can show them the ROI. They can
Yeah.
show that you're valuable, easy to work with. You're a man or woman that does what they say they're going to do for them. But it forces you to level up when you work with big clients too.
Yeah. I know people that are, spending 30,000 a month in ad spend.
Oh yeah,
They're
more
not
like
spent or
yeah,
more. They're not, but
yeah,
they're not spending it. But if they don't see an ROI, they're just not just wishing upon a star. Hopefully that some bring you back a sweet lead.
no,
No, they're seeing it.
no. It's like small business owners look at marketing or ad spend as an expense.
Hmm.
Large companies or people that have been in the game for a while, it's an investment. It's like, oh, I put $10,000 in the machine, I get $25,000 back. It's an
So right.
investment. For smaller business owners, it's like, oh, I just have to pay that, and they haven't realized or recognized that it should be an investment, not an expense.
And when they go to sell, they don't know what a wonderful thing that is when they can show the potential buyer, hey, guess what? I can get this much more money out by putting this much money in.
Yeah, knowing
This
their
is the
numbers.
formula. This is how I do it. I give Strategy Zoo this much money, and they give me this much money back because of what they're doing.
Yes.
And if you can show those kind of leads and those kind of funnels and how that other buyer is going to continue to grow the company without you being there, holy smokes, it's amazing.
Yep. Larger companies, more established companies that are winning, they know those things. Their customer acquisition cost, their lifetime value of a client,
That's right.
they know those numbers. Smaller companies guess and they have gut feelings of like, well, I posted and I did better, or I threw a couple $100 into ads and it seemed to do good. People that are really successful know their numbers really, really well. And they're
So
very
true.
aware of those things so they can scale what works and not waste time with what doesn't.
Yeah. I've had people say, "Oh, I'm going to cut marketing." Oh, okay. What are you doing personally then for marketing to get more people into the door? Well,
Yeah.
not really anything. But but let's look back to see how many people come in the door over the last couple of months that you've been using this marketing service. Oh, so you've had 7 to 10,000 a month in revenue coming in. Okay, and if you're not doing anything and you're paying this marketing service to do something, that means it's them that's doing it. And you want to cut that? You want to cut your lifeblood of your company?
Yeah. I've been
So,
in I've been in those conversations, Spencer. We had a client that for whatever reason, he wanted to do something with his money and he turned off we were running Facebook ads for him at the time in Monarch Social. And he called us. He said, "Hey, let's skip this month. Let's just like turn off the ads. I'm going to do it." And I don't know if he was building something or he needed it for I can't remember. Anyways, 2 days later, we get a phone call in a panic. Turn them back on. All of our leads have stopped. And we were like, okay, we'll turn them back on. So we turned his ads back on, and he realized really quick, oh my God, this is how I get leads. I can't
That's
turn
so
that
true.
off, And so it was a great learning lesson for him. Uh, he needed to fix his organic lead problem because now he's married to active paid ads. And if he turned that off, business fails.
Yep.
So it was a really good learning moment for him to be like, okay, what do we need to do to organically grow to get these leads, not just paid advertising? But yeah, and to your point, that's how he got his leads. That was
Hmm.
the way, and it was like he wasn't even aware of that until we turned it off.
Yep. So people listening right now, just remember, hey, before you do anything rash, look at your numbers. Really dive in. And if you're not looking at your P&L every month and seeing how much your income's going up or even down sometimes, and how much you're spending on marketing or whatever it is, you need to be doing that.
Yeah,
Because they,
look at your different channels. See what you're doing with those different channels, whether it's networking or referrals or Google or website form submissions or email marketing. Look at a little attribution and say, like, where are the majority of my leads coming from? A.
Mhm.
B, what could you do better to get more of those? Just double your effort and really know your numbers and say,
That's
this
right.
is how people are finding me. This is how qualified leads are coming in. And if the good thing is, if you look at that, you'll probably see a channel that you're like, man, I'm putting money into this. I'm spending time and energy and resources, and I'm not really getting anything back. And that might be a great moment of reflection as well to say, can we do something
Yep.
different or better, or put it where
Yep.
we are getting leads?
Exactly. And you can't look at your neighbor, or your friend who owns a certain company and say, well, why am I not having the same success he is? Well, he might own a sprocket company on the internet that's getting all of his, like you said, leads from paid ads or Facebook or Instagram. He's getting more traction. And you can't expect to get all your traction from the same avenues if you have a service-based company. You have to try
Yes.
different things. Maybe that's Google ads. Maybe it's there's so many different things that you could be doing, so you have to, you listen to professionals, obviously like Morgan, to tell you and guide you, hey, where's the best places to put your money in these
Yeah.
avenues?
Yeah, for sure. Any smart business owner does that. Sometimes it gets overlooked because business owners, we get in the trenches. We're doing the work. We're doing the fulfillment. We wear all the hats of admin, sales, customer service. We do all of those things, but you really need to take some time to look at your numbers and say, like, how are people finding me? How am I converting these people?
Yep.
And it's eye-opening when you do that.
Yep. Well, I know we're coming to the close of this, but I want to, what would you say to the people that are thinking, oh, you know what? I've been wanting to try this online fad of advertising and marketing. Because I know that's going through some of their minds. But it's going to cost me a fortune every month in ad spend. What would you say to something like that?
Wh- That's my whole spiel, Spencer, is before a business owner thinks about doing marketing, I'm a huge proponent of getting the foundation right first. And what I mean by that is really knowing who your target demographic is so you know how to speak their language. So
Yep.
you know how to speak their language with your offer. Um, that's what I do. So in Strategy Zoo, we stick with foundations, and the reason why is because it doesn't matter if you go to Facebook or TikTok or email marketing. Once you know who you're really targeting and the messaging that you're using and the offering positioned for that target demographic, you win. You win. You'll convert higher. You'll disqualify people that aren't your clients,
Hmm.
and so I would say start there. A lot of people will go throw money at ads. They'll go throw money at a video and they'll be like, man, like it didn't work. It didn't convert. It's because you're not speaking to the people that you're looking for. And if you
Hmm.
can figure out the foundation first, that's step one before you put any money into paid advertising or marketing.
Yep. You know, I can tell everyone right now that obviously you know your stuff because that is basic right there. If people there's so many people out there in the marketing world. There's like, oh, I can help you with your ads. I can help you with all this kind of stuff. And I've seen so many that like, when you actually start talking to them, they don't know anything. But what you just said about avatar, putting an avatar, your target demographic, that's so true. That's what you want to hear from your marketing people. So this is good.
We were guilty of this. One last thing, we were guilty of this even in Monarch Social. And it, I was younger. We were full of energy and and go and grit and all those things. But what I've noticed is marketing companies, marketing agencies, they'll usually push you into doing what they're really good at. So if they're an email marketing company, they're going to be like, man, email marketing is not dead. We got to do emails. If they're an ad agency, they're going to be like, oh, we got to create Facebook ads. If they are a videography agency, they're going to be like, we need to do videos. We did this too. We were really good at what we did. We pushed those on a lot of people. This is what I'll say. Not everyone needs those things. What you really need to do is figure out who you're speaking to, who you're actually targeting, and how you're offering your services or product to them. And once that is figured out, any one of those will work 10 times better than just being like, let's go put $500 in Facebook ads and see what happens. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it will convert, but you'll have a hell of a lot better conversion rate if you figure out the basics first.
I love it. Well, perfect. Well, let me ask you one more question before we end. I know this has kind of gone a little longer, but this has been a fun episode, and I've wanted to keep asking questions. So thanks, Morgan.
Yeah.
So I forgot the sponsor in the beginning. So let's go through it right now before we ask this last question. We are sponsored by Health West, great organization, great medical teams. Find where they're closest to you within the Idaho maps, and give them a call, have them help you. We're also sponsored by my company's New Clean Commercial Cleaning and Commercial Cleaning Services, taking all of your toilet scrubbing needs from Twin Falls past Rexburg, so we can help you there. Give us a call, 208-254-7070, and we will offer you a free office sterilization, absolutely no strings attached. Just tell us that you heard about us on the podcast. What would be maybe the most overrated business advice that you hear?
That anyone could be an entrepreneur and anyone can make it.
Yeah.
And
like that.
That's a hot take. I think there's people that have the mentality. I think there's others that can do it. It just takes a hell of a lot longer because they have to learn a lot more. But I don't think everyone needs to be an entrepreneur. And I don't think that, just pushing harder is great advice for a lot of people. I think you need to push smarter, more tactical, more strategic, and focus on the things that actually work. And not just more work doesn't mean you'll be successful. More harder work doesn't mean that you're going to make it. It just doesn't.
So true. It's so true. You've got to be strategic in everything.
Yeah.
I love it. Morgan, you've given some great answers today. I appreciate your time. If someone listening wants to support you or connect, where would they go?
Yeah. So I'm going to say two things. First of all, Connect Idaho in-person networking meeting every Wednesday in Pocatello at Puerto Vallarta, Senor Garcia's on the other side of I-15. We're there every single Wednesday. Come pitch your business. Love to meet you. Number two, strategiezoo.com. You can find all the information there. I'm about ready to have a brand new website go up too. So that's exciting.
Awesome. I love it, dude. Well, again, I appreciate you coming on the show. Great answers. If anyone's listening to this one, which I know there's going to be plenty, they're going to be thinking, holy smokes, I've learned a lot about marketing today. And I'm sure they're going to be wanting to talk with you, Morgan, because you've given some good advice here. So as always, be happy, be grateful, and find opportunities to serve others people. And have yourself a great week and coming into the weekend here soon. Thanks, Morgan.
Thanks, Spencer. Appreciate you, man.
Congratulations on spending a couple of minutes getting a little bit smarter, having some fun, and supporting the Idaho business community. If you're feeling the love, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you are.